2 videos in one day? What is this, Christmas? No, stupid, it's the middle of spring. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, and welcome to another installment of my Modern Horizons set review. If you haven't already seen it, I suggest that you go and check out part 1 from today. It's not part 1 in the series, but it's part 1 of today's videos. So you can watch it before this one or after this one. Dealer's choice, doesn't really matter. There's no information you need from that video for this video because there's no cards that are really connected from one video to another. So watch them in either order, whatever makes you happy. But just know that 2 videos came out today, so make sure you check them out both, or you might have missed part of the review thinking that you got it all. So that out of the way, my friends, we had an interesting first part. Let us move into the second part. What are we starting with? We are starting with Cordial Vampire. Well, what a cordial greeting. 2 black for a 1/1 vampire. Whenever Cordial Vampire or another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. Please come in. Hors d'oeuvres are on the table. All right, there you go. Come in. I've got something for you to munch. It's a dude on the table. This guy's obviously very friendly to his other vampire friends. You could clean yourself up a bit though. You don't need to have all that blood all over your chest. I mean, if you're not gonna wear a shirt, why do you have a scarf on? Take the scarf off too and hose yourself down. Hose yourself down, dirty boy. So this is like, this makes me think of a Cabal Ghoul, but stepped to the next level. Because a Cabal Ghoul is from way, way back in the day and isn't very good in all honesty. People liked it back then and it was okay, but this is way more powerful. Basically, it's gonna pump it and all of your vampires at the same time. Decent for 2 mana. Things could get really out of hand really fast. This is a cool little vampire lord. I like it. I like it. The flavor text and the art are kind of amusing together, where it's like, come on in, I got snacks on the table. And it's just a guy bleeding out on the table. It's like if you had cupcakes and you just spilt them and rubbed them all over come on in. And it's like, we've made a mess. How am I supposed to enjoy this meal? How am I supposed to enjoy this meal, son? It is still fun, though. Be our guest, see my mess. All right, let's move on to the next card. Dipfile. 1 black instant, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each swamp you control. So it's like Massacre. It's like it's got that same kind of feel to it. The only shortcut in a bog is to the bottom. Well, all right, fair enough. Dipfile. Oh, you're getting defiled by tentacles. Oh no. Oh no, is this guy in one of them Japanese anime moosh videos that are for adults that you see on the interweb? Are those tentacles? I mean, they're defiling it. Well, is he being defiled the way that moosh anime girls get defiled? Oh, tentacles, no. Emrakul, you naughty person. The card's not too bad, honestly. As 1 mana removal, it gets stronger as you go along. There are other cards that get stronger as you go along with the number of swamps you put out, like Corrupt, things of that nature. It's a perfectly serviceable card, even if the artwork makes me wonder how many of these tentacles are inside of him. Moving on. Ephemerate. What a cool name for a card, playing on the whole ephemeral nature. It is fleeting, disappearing. 1 white. Instant. Exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Rebound. If you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. Rebound is a fun little ability that we originally saw in the Rise of the Eldrazi block. You saw it on things like Consuming Vapors, where you can get 2 uses out of a spell. The first use tends to be more of a surprise because your opponent doesn't know it's coming. The second one they can plan for, but it gives you genuine value. 2 castings out of a spell is genuine value. This is one of those standard issue, you can either use it to save one of your guys in a pinch when they're about to get wiped out, or use it with someone who has a trigger that goes off when they enter the battlefield so you can get another use, or even a trigger that activates when they leave the battlefield. Either way, this is a pretty cool card. The artwork is great. I love the way that it looks like this lion is being erased from existence. Actually, speaking of erase, it kind of makes me think of the old uncard erase. This would be half decent artwork for an uncard called erase, but it would be probably a little too serious. The lion, I don't know how he feels about disappearing, because it looks like his one eye is like this. What's going on? I don't like this. I thought we were doing a remake of The Lion King. I'm not on board for this nonsense. Don't ephemerate me, bro. Next up, Everdream. All right, 1 blue, 1 colorless. Draw a card. Splice onto instant or sorcery for a blue and 2 colors. Oh, this is like Evermind. I believe that was the name of it. Evermind was an old card from the Kamigawa block that had splice onto arcane, but didn't actually have a casting cost, so you couldn't cast it on its own, which made it kind of disappointing to a degree. It was kind of like, but the splice onto arcane was like, okay, you can, but for those of you who don't know how splice works, you pay the splice cost, and you can add this spell's effect to another spell. So if you were going to cast like a lightning bolt, for example, for 1 red, well, with Everdream, you could pay an extra 1 blue and 2 colorless, so you would play a red, a blue, and 2 colors, and you would add the draw card part of Everdream onto lightning bolt. So it will become do 3 damage and draw a card. And you get to keep the spliced card in your hand when you use the splice ability. So overall, that's not too shabby. Now the artwork, ooh, the artwork. Hold on, Daddy needs some sugar water. Ooh. I'm watching you. All right, so the artwork is really cool. I like this. You have a woman who looks like she is asleep. She has some kind of like kerchief or like gypsy shawl or something on her head and kind of like cascading down around her neck as well. But it's turning into what almost looks like a universe being born from her thoughts. And you can see that there's a moon, and it may be a moon in multiple phases or multiple planets. It looks like there's some fairy wings behind it. There almost kind of looks like there's a skull down in the corner and blue like magic wafting along. There's a lot going on in artwork. I like that concept, dreaming up a bunch of different things and they're coming to be reality. This is one of those more abstract kind of pieces of art that's very interesting to me. There's a lot of different cards you could assign to a piece of artwork like this where it would work and be cool, but I like it. Everdream and what looks like endless dreams naturally flowing out the back of her head. This is cool artwork. And I like the fact, the contrast between the whole, like, her sleeping face is on the darkened side in the night, and then the light and everything that's flowing out, it's got that night and day kind of feel to it. Overall, I give it a thumbs up. Then we've got, if you watched the first video, I told you that there was a card that I was super stoked about talking about. Well, here it is, my friends. Meredydd Besieged. They decided to encapsulate the entire concept of the war of Mirren, the whole war on Meredydd in one card. And for those of you who don't know, I guess, you know what, let's talk about the card first and then we'll talk about this. 1 blue, 2 colorless enchantment. As Meredydd Besieged enters the battlefield, choose Mirren or Phyrexian. Mirren side, whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token. Phyrexian side, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then discard a card. Then if there are 15 or more artifact cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game. This is so flavorful. This card is awesome on multiple levels. And on a neat little side note, the way that it works with the choosing Mirren or Phyrexian, it does feel a lot like the Tarkir block had enchantments that said choose cons or dragons. Like you were picking 2 sides in a war. And depending which side you chose, it would determine the effect you would get from the card. So we've got a similar thing going on here. With Meredydd Besieged specifically, you can see the Phyrexians invading Meredydd. The Mirrens were the natural inhabitants of Meredydd. Well, as natural as you can get, considering a bunch of them were like imported and weren't technically natural inhabitants. But the natural inhabitants of Meredydd, who are known as Mirrens, versus the Phyrexians. Because what happened was a tiny little drop of Phyrexian oil traveled with Karn to Meredydd and infected the Memnarch. You guys know Memnarch? He was actually a different being before. but Phyrexian oil corrupted him and turned him into Memnarch. And slowly but surely, it started to corrupt all of Meredydd. And when they had the Scars of Meredydd block, what they did, and I loved that Wizards did this, it was fantastic. They did a concept where it was like, you don't know who's going to win this war. At the end of this 3-set block, we can have a situation where the Mirrans have repelled the Phyrexian invaders, or we can have a situation where Phyrexia has overrun the Mirrans. And to make it seem like it could go either way, they even printed certain cards with different expansion symbols on them to not give away at the end of the story that it would indeed become New Phyrexia. Until we saw that the new final set was like New Phyrexia, we didn't know for sure. They made it, they did trick us. They admittedly did trick us. They made it seem like we could kind of influence which side of the war would win when we couldn't. But they did have a cool sort of like, check out, like it led to all kinds of cool things happening in the block where we had one pre-release where you had both Phyrexian and Mirran packs, which is a really cool concept. Honestly, the whole thing is cool. Now, in terms of the card itself, I like the way that the card works as well. If you choose to be on the side of the Mirrans, the defenders, you get, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact. And there are, that's what Meredydd was known for, the little mirror artifacts that produce mana. These little, and they do other things as well. They're all over the place. And then the Phyrexian side, I like from multiple ways as well. I mean, first of all, you get to draw a card and discard a card, so you get to like go through your deck. And then if there are 15 or more artifact cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game. So you can draw and filter artifacts in your graveyard without even having to get them into play and destroy them. But you can go that route as well. And then if you have 15 or more artifacts, you get to pick someone to lose the game. And that's a very Phyrexian feel to it. Instead of I win, you lose. Now, obviously, it diminishes its power to a degree in multiplayer, but it's also fun in multiplayer because you can be like, keep screwing with me, and you'll be the one that I'll pick to lose. So overall, I really like this card. I think out of all the spoilers for today, actually, I know, out of all the spoilers for today, this is my absolute favorite. My second favorite is the one blue enchantment from the first video. I'm not going to mention it here as a teaser. That way, if you haven't seen it, you can go and check it out. And if you have seen it, you'll know which one I'm talking about. Moving on. Moonblade Shinobi. Kiss me in the moonlight. 1 blue, 3 colors for a 3/2 human ninja with ninjutsu of a blue and 2. And ninjutsu is the, hey, if you're attacking with a creature and it's unblocked, you can return it to your hand and put this ninja into play, tapped and attacking instead. And its other ability is, whenever Moonblade Shinobi deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 blue illusion creature token with flying. I gotta say that because the Mistblade, not the Mistblade, what was the name? Yesterday we did one where it's a Naga. It's like Mist Syndicate Naga or something like that. And that one creates copies of itself. And it kind of makes this ninja feel like junk. Honestly, it's kind of makes this underwhelming and janky. So, and it's like, why does it make a 1/1 blue illusion creature token with flying? Where is that transmitted in the art or conceptually at all? In the artwork, I just see a Shinobi who's like slicing the blade around. It's like, that's a Moonblade? Then what's up with the wind? What's going on? Like, is that wind supposed to be a 1/1 illusion? It's muddy flavor and it's underwhelming power. So I give this one a fat thumbs down. Next up, Ninja of the New Moon. Ninja of the New Chance. You better do better, New Moon. You're just like the Twilight books. 2 black, 3 colors for a 6/3. Wow, that's a fat ninja. A 6/3 spirit ninja with ninjutsu of 4. And it's okay, that's its only ability. Ninjutsu of 4. All right, 1 black, 3 colors ninjutsu. The knight is the greatest ally of all. Is it Ninja of the New Moon? Because you seem really obvious. You're standing right out on a rooftop, illuminated by light. Like, it seems like it's a misty night and it's dark, but somehow you still managed to stand out. How did you do that? How can you say night is the greatest ally? Are you trying to say that the ninja is made of pure night? Is that what you're trying to say? Why is it so light around him then? I do like the dark essence that's flowing off him. And I like that he has these big nasty claws. And I like that he's a big 6'3" ninja. But a lot of ninjas are teeny weenies. So getting the big, like, here we come, I am the claw man. It's all right. The flavor behind it's, you're not hiding very well, Ninja Man. You're not hiding very well at all. I see you up there. I can see you on the roof, bro. Come on. Get down off the roof. It's expensive to retile up there. Next up, another ninja. Phantom Ninja. 2 blue in colors for a 2/2. Phantom Ninja can't be blocked. Oh, so this is just a nod to Phantom Warrior. All right, I get it. Phantom Warrior is like pretty much the exact same thing. 3 mana for a 2/2 can't be blocked. And I mean, it's a ninja, goes into a ninja deck. Being unblockable works well there. Ninjas can run across water, pull ladders from pockets, kill with a kiss, and slip between bricks. Pack of lies, I say. Bend in tea house gossip. I like that. This guy is just like waving away. Ninjas can run across water, pull ladders from pockets, kill with a kiss, and slip between bricks. It's a pack of lies, I say. You know what? I like that. I like the flavor. I like the artwork as well. You can see this ninja just coming through what would be some front gates or whatever. Like, oh, you think you're safe? Well, surprise, he just slid on through. Get wrecked, bending. Your days of gossiping are over. You're going to be bending over for the Phantom Ninja, if you know what I'm saying. Moving on. Reap the past. That's what I do on this channel. Reap that past for the goodness, son. 1 green, 1 red, and X. Return X cards at random from your graveyard to your hand. Exile, reap the past. The ground cracked and unleashed 1,000 years of history at once. Well, this is interesting. I honestly can't remember what the name of the card is, but they made a card in the Lorwyn block. I think it was specifically in like Shadowmoor, where it was one green/red. It was 1 green/red, and I think it might have had fossil in the name. But anyways, it was 1 mana that was either red or green, and it returned a random card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is like a big X version that can get you a whole bunch of stuff, but you don't get to pick. So that's a cool concept, honestly. I mean, regrowth in cards has been around for a long time, but the random nature, like the coming back from your graveyard comes from the green side, and the random chaotic nature comes from the red side. I like that. The ground cracked and unleashed 1,000 years of history at once. All right, I mean, you've got the earth being torn asunder with green and red magic flaring up out of it, the remnants of the past coming. It looks like a pretty impressive force, too. This looks like what would normally be an idyllic place to visit otherwise. It looks like, you got your nice green grass and your trees and everything. Looks pretty chill. I'm all right with this. This seems like a pretty decent card, in all honesty. You can't predict what it's going to get back, but if you can X enough for your whole graveyard, you can get it all back. And if you don't care what you get back, because anything's good, this is going to work just fine. After that, we've got Reckless Charge. 1 red sorcery. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. And Flashback for a red and 2 colorless. Not too bad. I mean, it's pretty aggressive. It's pretty aggressive. Whatever. There's nothing wrong with this card. It's perfectly serviceable. And the artwork definitely gives across the idea of a Reckless Charge. And he's basically running ahead and all this fire magic is flowing around him. It's just like it's almost like he's part of a comet storm flying directly at you. He definitely looks angry and intense. This like either ogre or, well, he's not going to be a goblin. He looks too big to be a goblin. But yeah, it's definitely got a lot of energy and aggression to this artwork. I like it. Moving on, we got Rot Widow Pack. 1 green, 1 black, 2 colors for a 2/4 reach. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. Then each opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. So the casting cost in the 2/4, 4 mana for a 2/4, takes me all the way back to the beginning of Magic, the days of giant spider. I remember you get a giant spider, put an aspect of wolf on it, and be like, bring your Mahamodis over, son. Bring them on over. Anyways, this doesn't seem too bad. 4 mana for a 2/4 with reach, and you can exile creatures from your graveyard to create like shadow spiders, little spiders that come out and suck the blood from your opponent. I like it, because each opponent loses a life for each spider you control. So they just kind of gang up and just suck the blood. I dig it. For each one you see, 10 see you. Bum, bum, bum. The artwork is pretty unpleasant, honestly. The spider looks just nasty, and it's sitting there kind of like perching on the skull of, I don't know, a defeated dragon or something. Some large creature, and you can see it's been there for a while because of what's running out of it and the spider webs that are all like across it. dude, that's pretty, it's pretty evocative flavor-wise. I mean, it doesn't feel modern strong enough, but flavor-wise, I like this. Next up, we've got Smiting Helix. This is an interesting one. 1 black, 3 colorless. Smiting Helix deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. And when you read that, you might go, wait, I mean, what is this supposed to be, like an old school drain life? But those numbers make me think of Lightning Helix. Well, you're right. It kind of works like both. And the first iteration of it, where it works similar to a drain life you're doing for 3 and you gain 3. And then the flashback happens to be the exact same cost as a Lightning Helix, where you pay 1 white, 1 red, and get to do it again. Now, obviously, you don't get to do it at instant speed, which is not exactly like Lightning Helix, but this is definitely a nod to Lightning Helix and drain life effects at the same time. Malice is appropriate when vengeance is called for. Yeah, if you're bringing vengeance, man, bring that malice on. Who cares? Why be friendly about it? This is vengeance, son. Get wrecked. Next up, we've got Soulherder. 1 white, 1 blue, 1 colors for a 1/1 spirit. Whenever a creature is exiled from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Soulherder. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile another target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Oh, that's pretty cool. Honestly, at the beginning of each of your turns, you can exile the creature and have it return. It watches over every absence. This artwork is amazing. Seb McKinnon's so talented. You've got what at first glance looks like a giant headless lanky skeleton, but its head is the sun and its cloak and body are the night. Like it has the morning sun as its head, and it has the darkest night as its trailing cloak as it steps along the land, and you can see people fleeing from it in horror. This is horrible and awe-inspiring at the same time. This is genuinely incredible artwork and a very funky and fun card too. This one's a home run. I give this one a fat thumbs up. Next up, Ursa's Rage. Unexpected, but a nice little include. 1 red, 2 colorless instant, been downgraded from rare, by the way. Downgraded from rare, and also doesn't have that stupid mech artwork that they put on. Oh god, I hated those mechs back in the day. That stuff's just as dumb as the vehicle, tanks and submarines and helicopters. I hated that stuff. If you guys haven't seen the Invasion Ursa's Rage, well, take a look at it. It's obviously on the screen because my editor is the balls and she knows what she's doing. So, anyhow, Ursa's Rage. 3 mana. This spell can't be countered. You can kicker it for an extra 9 mana, so you can pay 12 in total. If you don't pay the extra, it just deals 3 damage to any target at instant speed. But if you do pay the kicker cost, if you pay 12, it deals 10 damage to that permanent or player, and that damage can't be prevented. That's funky, the way that it says to that permanent or player. The wording has changed, it feels like. I'm surprised it doesn't say it deals 10 damage to that target, you know? It feels like a weird word choice. But you can see Ursa here blasting out fire magic in his rage. Ursa was known as the Mad God. Things happened during his existence that made him a little crazy. And we will talk about Ursa in a lore video, specifically about the Ursa card that was spoiled earlier. He will definitely get his own lore video about that point in time. Overall, this card is fairly underwhelming, especially by today's standards. It being at common actually makes a lot more sense. It being in modern, I don't know if a lot of burn decks are going to be packing this. You're not really going to want to pay 12 mana. That's way too much. So this feels to me like a cool flavor to include with Ursa, but also kind of a waste of space in a set. Not a great reprint. Then we've got a reprint that is great. Now, we're not using the actual version. We're using the same artwork for Wall of Blossoms here, but we're not using the same printing because for some reason when this one got spoiled, it got a low res copy. So we're just going to show you a Wall of Blossoms with the same artwork, but from a different set. Don't let the expansion symbol fool you. It's uncommon in this set. I just want you to have a nice one to look at. So it's a green and a colorless for a 0/4 defender wall. And when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Each flower identical, every leaf and petal disturbingly exact. I have always loved the flavor text on this. I really like, you look at Wall of Blossoms and it just looks nice and peaceful. You think of it, this is just something that's going to protect me and draw me a card. But each flower is identical, every leaf and petal disturbingly exact. And that brings a level of unnatural to the natural. If you've looked at plants, none of them are perfectly symmetrical. Everything they grow comes in kind of differently, right? There's nothing perfect about it. Every single part of this Wall of Blossoms, every blossom is 100% identical. And that's genuinely unnerving. I like the concept behind that. So that's the final spoiler that we have for our set review today. We will continue onwards tomorrow with whatever else is coming. We're getting close to the end. There's only going to be a few more of these at this point. I can tell there's not much left of the set. So we'll be able to give an overall assessment at the end once we've finally seen it all. That being said, let us roll the golden scroll. These are the people who have my back on Patreon or through channel memberships. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. It means a lot to me. To everyone I say, thanks for being here. But for now, I'm history, baby.